Hopefully he took me up on that lobster trap idea. You don't even know where the kids are yet. You want to be the first one up there speaking on behalf and some sort of fake-ass vigil. Those are fake-ass vigils, brother. Real vigils have caring members of the society all bound around and brought there for the same reason. They're there for the same reason. Kent just called the RCMP and asked if he could pull this fucking cockamamie thing, and they'll call it a vigil in the parking lot. And he'll beg and bother Belinda to get some sort of approval from her. They'll talk her into coming out, and that way he's got an audience. Oh, look at how fucking upstanding of a citizen you are. Yeah, you've got no idea what's happened to the kids. Got no idea. Nobody's saying anything. Hardly the time. It's a distraction, and that's what Kent's all about. And it's not just the fat, awkward, goopy-looking, sloppy body he has floating around there in that stupid chair with wheels. He starts lying to everybody about who he actually is. Why would an absolute weirdo stranger like this want to and need to associate himself in the middle of all of this? Do you see all kinds of people just running and competing for Kent for that position? No. A manipulator does that. Question is, why is he manipulating people from that? Because it's the only side that Janie and Daniel can influence. He spends all of his time trying to convince you of something that really isn't in that sense, especially his intentions, etc., etc., etc. And I don't even have to have talked to the motherfucker. I can see it. He kept sticking up for Derwood. There's another fucking example right there for you. Any fucking idiot that would be sticking up for a person like Darren Geddes in this situation has just exposed themselves. As an accessory. No, those son of a bitches are accessories at this point. That's for the RCMP to worry about. We can just talk all about it up until that point. What's up, Charmaine? I question why that son of a bitch Kent was even involved. Like, who is this fucking guy? And Sonny gave him his 15 minutes of fame. They were falling all over him. Oh, well, he's just a local. He's old Lobster Claus Corbett from the Lobster Festival in New Glasgow every year. And he's here because this really needs a lot of awareness brought to it, because Kent's just that stupid son of a bitch to do that. What is he, Grandmaster P? I don't think so. You've got no fucking following whatsoever. He's just an idiot stuck in there. And Janie, in the audio clips that I have in the back, is thanking Kent. Oh, thank you, Kent. Thank you. What a fucking moron. And he can't wait to tell you all in these comments under his sock accounts just how awesome of a job that Kent loves to do. That's what he does, is spend all of his time propping himself up under sock accounts in your comments section. Instant ban around here. If you can't see how sketchy that move was since the very beginning, you've got to really question yourself. But I won't hold it against you. Now he's just a fucking idiot. The types of individuals that hold tight like that usually are guilty of having CP on their devices, and they're into some really degenerate type of stuff, illegal things. That's what Kent reminds me of. Kent reminds me of some weird collector of some of the most bizarre animal porn videos or something like that. It's something that he takes great pride in. He's a connoisseur, I'm sure. You talking about the Island Boys in my chat? I almost choked on that. Oh, that's so funny. Kent to this case like the Island Boys to hip hop. What's wrong with the Island Boys? Is the one just got popped on the side of the road for having fentanyl on his credit card in his car, his chick's car. I was watching a video about that. I was watching him hang out with Jack Doherty and Wes Watson. Holy shit. What a shit show. What a bunch of fucking idiots. But that's some funny shit. Some of my favorite cringe moments on the internet. Callie OG, where is she? Hello. Robin Edwards, good to see you. You never did understand why he was so into this case? Well, that's a great question. Why don't you get him to try to answer that for you? He'll proceed to tell you how fantastic of the person he is. It's the reason. It's just what he does. Like he's like Batman. Get the fuck out of here, Batman. He wants to be the liaison for the entire case for whatever fucking reason. Now, in law enforcement, you would have to take that to the next step, but we can just talk shit about it freely from this point. It gives people a reason to point them out, talk about them, get them out of there. Why you even put up with it in real time is beyond me. Everybody in these children's lives are hiding at this point. All right? And the only two people to come out are Derwood, a known fucking liar, admitted liar, a booze-nosed, ugly motherfucker, and his buddy Kent, who lie to you nonstop, constantly. And there's a problem with that. There's a real problem with that.
Or more. Nobody's been around here. Nobody has been in contact with us. I don't see any RCMP officers around here anymore, or nothing. It's like, to tell you the truth, you want to know my personal opinion, it's like to them this like nothing never happened here. It's like they're done here. I already asked that question about my knowledge leading up to the disappearance. I've already answered that question. As I said earlier,
oh, excuse me,
the grown-ups can deal with this. It's the children that I'm worried about, what they're going through.
There she goes. It doesn't bother her.
I was saying today to somebody, just think what little Jack and Lily's going through. Why? Where's Mommy? How come I can't see Mommy?
How come I can't see Mommy? Julia Turner 432, great point. Remember that idiot Derwood, Darren Geddes, said he and the people in his personal community, his people, love kids, but only in a clean way. That's so dodgy. That's why we think that you're a diddler, Kent. With a capital D. A D-I-double-D-L-E-R, buddy. You're part of Derwood's community, part of Derwood people. You love kids in that sense, but only in a clean way. The fact that you've got to point that out would tell people that you felt the need to manipulate in the moment just in case people were thinking something that you didn't want them to think about you because you're too busy trying to hide and fly under the radar. Well, it's kind of like hiding in plain sight. Julia, that's not a clarification you'd feel the need to make? Well, a person like Derwood would, though. He loves kids in a clean way. That's so gross. That's so gross. Stranger danger, Derwood. Oh, so you have to find me the timestamp on that, please, at some point, Julia, when you come across it again, just so I can get that audio and I can play it at will. Oh yeah, there's lots of dirty individuals wrapped up in that business, Cali OG. You know record drivers personally with yards they open. They tow vehicles too. How they steal vehicles, resell them, dirty business tactics, and his connection to Derwood. Oh yeah, of course they've got a connection. They got this hustle. He's one of those fucking guys who just thinks he's a genius. That bastard rolling himself around in that wheelchair just because he's too busy to heal himself in the proper way. He's just going the lazy route. It doesn't matter much though. That lisp is. I want to see that. I wonder if we could freedom of information that one. FOIA that interview where he yells at the RCMP. Well, why don't you tell me something?
I don't know about that because I started watching the TikToks of Sunny and of Dolly. I'm sorry, I can't stand Dolly. And to tell you the truth, I can't stand Sunny's interviews now. I don't watch them. After what she said about me, I don't go on them anymore. That's a question you would have to ask Darren why he said what he did. As in my opinion, Darren is telling the truth. He told me a lot that I don't want to tell anybody. That's up to him. He has his own opinion on things, and
so up to the point the investigators will have the Crown prosecutor work for them, like the DA in everybody's county, the district attorney in the states. Same thing up here called the Crown prosecutor. You have to have, and you need to have all kinds of information available before you want to spend the big bucks and have the DA dedicate any sort of time to it. Like a district attorney's just sitting around doing nothing, waiting for it to begin with. No, it has to be scheduled. And you want to maximize your brain power, in essence, in that sense. So it's going to be a year before that they can pull all of the relevant information that they're going to need behind the scenes, no matter what that particularly is, to accumulate in order for somebody to make it worth their time to go in and come out progressively with some sort of charges to be brought against them that they think that they're going to be successful with in court. It's not something that is going to necessarily go on at any one time, unless for some magical reason they get a whole shitload of new information out of the blue. But in a case where they've got to accumulate it all, it takes time.
he says what he says. So you could either take it with a grain of salt or not. So I agree with his estimates of events. Darren is close with the family on Malaya's side, and he is close with Daniel. I never met the man before in my life. I didn't even know who he was until one day he walked in the yard and he asked for Daniel. And I went in and I said, Daniel, there's someone here to see you. He said, who is it? And I said, I don't know. And I come out and I asked Darren who he was. And he told him, so Daniel, get up. Then they got talking. And he was telling about what he knew or what he heard or whatever. And then I said, well, this is a man that knows what's going on both sides. So I felt comfortable talking to him. I told him the whole thing. That's when he said, do you mind if I go on and say what you know? And I said, I really don't give a you know what. So he went on. He did get some stuff mixed up. I did correct him on that. What he said, I believe, because you take a man that is putting his own life in danger, putting his life with his family and his partner putting that all in jeopardy.
Oh, what a hero you are, Darren.
He told what...
God, what a stand-up guy you are, Darren. You're putting your life on the line out there for Janie and Daniel. Why were they putting your life on the line to go and recite the truth? Why would there need to be any permission? So you're really, in a nice way, telling us that you're conspiring in that sense. Who cares? We can see that. We know you're lying. We know Derwood's lying. We know Daniel's lying. Malaya lied.
He knew he lost everything. Now, who would in their right mind, sorry, that's not the right words, but who would do that if they didn't know what they were talking about? Or what they heard or what they said? Because you got to look at it. He has more to lose. And whatever he said about it, by trying to find Jack and Lilly, test, that anyone, he lost everything. I don't know nothing about what was said or anything. The investigators got after him for letting that out there, and then they came out with the statement after that people have had polygraph tests done. So he got in trouble for that. Daniel asked for the lie detector test. Yes, he was the one that begged the investigators for the polygraph test. They did not ask.
I got a message in the background talking about how somebody has called and reported Kent Corbett to the RCMP. So, Kent, you should be expecting a bit of a visit coming up shortly.
Him. He asked for it. Daniel and I still take walks through the woods to see if we can find them, just to get out and look. But we haven't found anything. As I said, I do not know where the kids are. In my opinion, they are not in the woods. The searchers are saying they are. But come on, after all the time they have searched and never found nothing, and all the helicopters and the drones and all the area they have searched.
Yeah, the searchers still think they're in there because they're paid to come in and find 2 missing children in their search. That's what they're paid to do. They don't care about anything else. They don't care whether or not you lied or not. That's what they're paid to do. In order to rule things out, in order to do a good job, they have to know what it is that they're looking for in the first place or reported to. The question is why did you tell everybody that?
Those 2 children, Jack and Lilly, could not have walked very far. As I told you, when I walked with Jack and Lilly and Daniel and my other 2 grandchildren in the woods, I would have to carry Jack through the woods. There's no way you're going to make a kid do something they don't want to do. Believe me, I've been through it. So Jack and Lilly would not have walked in.
Yeah, Darlene, you're thinking possibly the cops found out Kent got rid of a car for Daniel? It's probably something unrelated. It's probably some lewd act that they got caught in doing in public, like fornicating with each other.
In the woods. The only distance they would have walked is up to their little fort that they built. Lilly is scared of bugs and spiders.
First
the
of all,
opposite of Jack.
Jack and Lilly didn't build any forts up there. All right? So either you built it for them or the other kids built it, but you're misrepresenting it. A 4 and a 6-year-old don't go up there and build things like that.
When I see them out here in the yard and there's a fly or a bug or something, if Jack gives her one of her bugs, she goes, I don't want that. Or worms. She won't touch worms. She won't touch bugs at all. She gets scared of them. She runs in the house when there's a fly or something around her. So I can't see them going in the woods with bugs and flies and... No. Well, they called all the search off here. There hasn't been a search here now since... oh, God, I can't tell you. There's nobody around here. I think, in my opinion, I think the investigators finally got it through their head that they're not in the woods. So, as far as I know, from what I'm hearing, they are investigating their side now. They did all they could here because there's nobody around. There's no RCMP, there's no investigators around anymore. As I said, I haven't seen investigators in about 3 weeks here. They don't come here anymore. Daniel still keeps in contact with them if something comes up. That's all I know. I don't know what he tells them. I don't listen to his conversations. I don't, as I said, he's old enough, he makes his own choices. And he says his own thoughts. I'm not sticking up for the boy. What he does on his own. As I said, just like me. Nobody tells me what to do. Nobody tells me my thoughts. He stays out of my life, I stay out of his. And when they lived in that trailer, that whatever went on in there was their business, not mine. I live in the RV. And to answer your question, no, I'm not Lily and Jack's grandmother. But for the last 2 years, I became Jack and Lily's grandmother. They called me Granny. They called Justin Uncle. So yes, I became their Granny the last 2 years. And they called Daniel Daddy.
Well, that's weird. So you date for 2 weeks on Facebook dating. You move him into Patty's, and then all of a sudden, he's calling you Daddy. You're calling, better get used to ramen noodles. Well, they'll have it stolen. They'll have all the ramen noodles stolen from them in prison. Believe me, they're going to get extorted by other sex offenders. They'll be on the sex offender wing. The people who do harm towards children, they'll be in protective custody. Nobody likes them. Nobody likes those son of a bitches. That's really what they're hiding from. That's why they're so desperate, because when people get to know the truth, they're going to be dead anyway. So what is it they feel in their mind do they have to lose? They're going for the full lie. You're going to have to figure out their lies. Really, they've told on themselves this entire time. They're not very good at this. They're just persistent. And God, like, when was the last time we seen like people that like this stupid, where they present their side or their case or their story, and it's just so nonsensical and filled with holes when it comes to the children. The opposite of sounding innocent in that sense. You were better off to claim that somebody came in and took them right from their bedroom and had a wide open door, for Christ's sakes. You would have been better if you staged a crime scene. I shouldn't say that. It wasn't, whatever happened wasn't well thought through, wasn't well thought out. And it came to being desperate. So when you're desperate, you put the blame back onto the victim and hope, well, this is that one exception. Hopefully people believe me. And when you're high and you're susceptible and you're malleable and under the influence, just might work, turns into a plausible idea, turns into your story. I think anyone with a functioning brain would know if they're told Daniel doesn't want them coming over or see a change in Malaya. They knew something wasn't right. There's something, Lori, that wasn't right in the relationship was them being together in the first place. They're living a lie. You guys, first of all, you don't know each other. There's nothing wrong with being together, but you're moving in and playing house on somebody else's dime. You guys aren't moving in and paying for things. You moved in, Daniel leached off Malaya, and you can't afford to move out because you've got no money left. There's nothing coming in. Malaya can do something for herself, but not when there's Daniel involved, because it's too much of a drain on groceries, living expensive, drug expenses, and everything else that goes on. Family can't control her at the end of the day, and she made a choice, Holly says. Right. That's what you're fighting in that circumstance. She's not really open to taking advice, not really open to being or doing the right thing. She wants to hurry things up. So she's guilty of believing Daniel and all of his false promises. What do you think he was coming over promising her? What was in it? What was in this relationship for Malaya? Just clapping. How are these SOBs being treated in their community? Neighbors hate them, bringing down property values. Ruggs' deviant behavior. Yeah, well, they fit right in. The good news is that you couldn't get any more remote. It's not like you're going to move them away from anybody. Garlock Road is where you move people where you want to get away from normal people. Unfortunately, they're already there. They're already at the fucking lowest tier. There's no lower tier than what the hell is going on there at Garlock Road. And then they upped themselves there. They brought in that rotten, broken down RV for Janie to move into, that she's gone through and really tried to not mention it a whole lot. She just loves it out there in the RV. Oh, I'm just bet you do. I'll just bet you do. Fuck, I don't believe that worth a shit. That is a source of contention. If Janie does you a favor, she's the type of person to remind you of that at every step along the way afterwards. I'm not listening, Lori. If adults are told about Malaya not to see anyone, then don't tell me they shouldn't have worried about the kids then. There you go in one of these things again, Lori. That didn't make any sense. Straighten that statement out. Communicate on a more clear, concise manner. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm not listening, but that didn't make sense. That's why I'm not listening. So I have to skip ahead. You're probably making sense to you, but not to me. Who could she trust, I wonder? Christine says. It doesn't seem like she had much support. Well, she fucked over all the support because she's stealing from Patty. She's borrowing money, not paying it back. She's, damaging herself. Not to mention she's got this tweaker that she just moved in, that everybody right away, including Wade and Cindy, recognized to be a tweaker. More problems. Now we've got an unstable weirdo around the kids and in the house that they have to be sensitive about talking to, because you never know what the fuck he's going to do. If he's going to kill you in your sleep. He'll kill you like he's about to kill Jack and Lilly. Well, I think the thought, Ange, is she says, or you say that protective custody shouldn't be an option for anyone who hurts children. I can see your points. See how powerful they feel in Gen Pop. Won't last long. No reoffending. Well, that's for sure. We'd never bring him to justice because they wouldn't live long enough, though. It's a catch-22. It's tricky. I hear you. Trail Hiker wants to tell you Daniel Martel would most likely get shanked if he was in general population prison. Well, yeah, he would be around other lifers. And if you're a lifer, you're definitely going to want to have a shank. I mean, for self-defense, right? In fact, that's what we should recommend Daniel do. Once you get convicted, motherfucker, you're going to want to get yourself a shank, okay? There's a little free advice for you. And if you show your shank, use your shank, boy. None of this beating on kids shit. Lori, yes, AB, it did make sense. If the mother is being controlled, then the kids are in danger too. True. Right. I'm not disagreeing to begin with. That's maybe why I'm confused. I don't think she knows how to trust because she didn't love herself, and that spilled over. Yeah, we can get theoretical on Malaya's thinking, but there's a lot we can take from a person in Malaya's situation with 2 children living with Patty, not paying for anything. She found the time and had the time to fantasize herself into this position. An immature relationship choice. I mean, like it or not, each and every one of us out there has probably made 1 or 2 in our lives when it came to relationships, whether that's rushing in, whether it's shacking in or shacking up with somebody too early. But really, it comes back to damage you in the end because it affects the relationship. And you learn to resent it or regret things. We're all guilty of these things. It's how we learn. But we're not interested in all of that. We're interested in Daniel and Malaya's relationship that began on Facebook dating. And after 2 weeks, Daniel moved in to Patty's. That's significant, and I repeat this because it's worth remembering in context to people's mindsets after the fact. It is newer information, but it's important. I think there's a strong possibility that Malaya, well, maybe she has learning disabilities in that sense. She seemed to be able to communicate in a way that wasn't completely off-putting, as filled with red flags as it was. My point is, I don't hold it against her necessarily for the specific move of being foolish enough of falling head over heels for some rando that she met on the internet. It happens. But again, we're looking at it in a different light. We're looking at it in the context of a missing child's case and after the fact. It's significant. Especially when you look at what old Daniel was prepared to put himself through. He didn't give a shit. He was looking to get some punani. He's looking to get punani and just figured somebody else's kids aren't your problems. He disregarded them, disrespected them by moving in already. Didn't care. Now you got Janie here telling you just how fantastic of a grandparent she is, how the kids were calling them granny and dad and mom, like they were just an obvious replacement. Like it was just that easy. Maybe for your mind when you're piecing together all of this information after the fact, but it's certainly not representative of the truth. There's no possible way that Malaya was going to replace what Cody should have been in their lives. But I believe that she maybe felt that she had to or was trying too hard. That's you could make that argument. But listen, it's a continuation of the foolish choices that she was making in her life up to that point. And Daniel was one of them. Icing out Cody and doing all of that nonsense, no matter what this asshole did, for the most part, I'm just saying that in general because I don't know all of the ins and outs, was a mistake. It was such a mistake. They probably told her that in court as